So when Iran launched its retaliatory attacks on Israel on 1st of October, the Western media and sponsors of Israeli atrocities in the Middle East were quick to announce that all those 180 plus ballistic missiles were repelled by Israel's air defense system, also known as Iron Dome, and American warships stationed in the region. That was a claim. No one was prepared to say that Iranian attack had indeed inflicted the damage on key military installations of Israel. This, despite videos shared on social media, showed the damage those missiles had caused across Israeli military targets. You can see them here on our Telegram channel. The details are there. I have been posting those videos there. Here is what the visibly upset and State Department spokesperson Matthew Miller has said right in the immediate aftermath of the attacks.
Iran launched nearly 200 ballistic missiles against a number of targets in Israel. The United States once again came to Israel's defense against these attacks, just as we participated in Israel's defense when Iran launched its April 13th attack. Our initial assessment is that Israel, with direct assistance from the United States and its partners, was able to successfully defeat this attack. This was a brazen, unacceptable attack by Iran, and every nation in the world must join us in condemning it.
Of course, admitting that Iranian missiles had penetrated through the much publicized Iron Dome would have been embarrassing for both Israel and the US. We all knew that. Even the UK was quick to claim that it had also played its role in thwarting Iranian attacks. It's a different thing altogether that this claim turned out to be a lie. Anyway, as for Iran, it maintained that it had targeted Israeli military facilities, unlike how Israelis only attack and destroy civilian targets in Palestine and now in Lebanon.
Contrary to the regime which consistently considered innocent civilians and civilian infrastructure as legitimate target for aggression and massacre, Iran's response has only targeted the regime's military and security installation with its defensive missile strike, because the Islamic Republic of Iran is grounded in ethical principles and noble teaching of Islam and full compliance with the principles of distinction under international humanitarian law.
Now, details have now emerged on the damage caused by Iranian missiles inside Israel. And they are not looking good for this settler colony and its backers in the West. One of the Iranian missiles had struck right next to the Mossad headquarters in Tel Aviv. That's scary. If I'm running the affairs in Israel, I would be really worried by this development. And just knowing the capability of Iranian military. Nick Shirfin is a reporter from the PBS News. He was one of the first reporters to report from the location that Iran had managed to strike, right next to the Mossad headquarters. This should make Israel and America very uncomfortable. The area is literally a few hundred meters away from the Mossad headquarters building, and one of the missiles caused a 30 feet deep crater. 30 feet deep crater. And you can actually see the Mossad headquarters building right in the video. That's how close it was. Watch this reporting by Nick.
This is the impact site for one of those Iranian ballistic missiles. And if you see the size of this crater, that's about 30 feet deep and maybe 50 feet wide. You can see all the debris around here. And to give you a sense of the targets for these strikes, that white building back there, about 1,500 feet behind me, is the headquarters of the spy agency, the Mossad.
According to other reports, Iranian missiles also inflicted heavy damages to two of the most important Israeli air bases, namely Nevatim and the Tel Nof air bases. Nevatim is the largest and most critical air force base in Israel. It's located in the east of Be'er Sheva and it hosts 3 F-35 fighter jet squadrons as well as transport squadrons operating Super Hercules and Hercules aircraft. It is also home to the wing of Zion, Israel's state aircraft. These were pretty high caliber military targets that Iran managed to strike. There are fears that Israel would strike Iran in response to these attacks. But the Iranian ambassador to the United Nations has warned that Israel will face dire consequences if it attacked Iran again.
Experience has proven that Israel only understands the language of force. Diplomacy has repeatedly failed, as Israel views restraint not as a gesture of goodwill, but as a weakness to exploit. Each act of restraint taken by Iran has only emboldened Israel to commit even greater crimes and more acts of aggression. Consequently, Iran's response was necessary to restore balance and deterrence. Israel must understand that each act of aggression it makes is not unpunished and will be met with consequences. This is the cost this regime must bear.
Sayyid Muhammad Maranda is a professor at the Tehran University. He says that Iran has such ballistic missiles in hundreds of thousands and has stockpiled them underground across Iran. He goes on to say that Iran began working on its elaborate missile program in preparation to take on the US after the rogue regime of George Bush illegally invaded Afghanistan and Iraq.
Well, Professor Mohammad Morandi from the University of Tehran joins us now. Thank you very much for being with us, Professor. I just wonder, first of all, what has Iran achieved by this attack on Israel? Very few of the missiles got through. It, in effect, failed. Many people are calling it a humiliation for Iran.
I think that's a lot of wishful thinking on behalf of you and your colleagues at Sky News. It was a massive blow to the Israeli regime. And the history of this conflict doesn't go back to last year. It is 76 years of ethno-supremacism, ethnic cleansing, and this is a racist regime that you support. What the problem is that you cannot recognize that the difference between you and us is that you support racism and racial hierarchy, and we reject it. And the Israeli regime, if they dare strike back at Iran, we will hit them much harder next time. We will beat them into submission.
Well, they will strike back, won't they? No sovereign country can put up with having 180 ballistic missiles fired at them, so they will hit back, they will hit hard, and they could well hit your nuclear facilities, your oil production installations. They could cause Iran serious damage.
Listen, instead of the rhetoric, be real, because you're misleading your own people. Iran has countless underground missile sites with hundreds of thousands of missiles across the country. They were made after the US invasion of Iraq and Afghanistan to deal with a potential war with the United States. So this puny regime, it is not a state, it is a colony. It is a racist, ethno-supremacist colony which the people call themselves the chosen people. Unlike you, we do not believe in chosen people.
I first didn't take this professor very seriously, frankly speaking, I must be very honest, until I saw the damage one of the Iranian missiles had caused right in the vicinity of the Mossad headquarters. Clearly, Iran's ballistic missiles are capable of penetrating through the Iron Dome and also hitting precise targets. Only time will tell if the reckless action by Israel and the blind support of the US, the UK, the EU, Canada and Australia have pushed the region into another deadly conflict with unimaginable consequences. Let's hope I'm wrong for the sake of humanity. I really mean that. That's it from me. Thank you very much for your support of this platform on buymecoffee.com and Patreon. If you do think that this platform is worth supporting, then you too should consider being a part of it. In the meantime, if you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do so, because that's one of the many ways you can support independent journalism. God bless you all.